Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So we are here back to our reading cycle, and we start with the book of Berishit. It's very interesting because, as we have already spoken, that we start a new cycle, which started not in the month of Aviv or the month of Nisan, but started in the 7th month. Some may be confused, but in the Judaism we have a different counting of the time, and this one is, remember, the first day of the 7th month is called Rosh Hashanah, or the head of the year, because it is in this time that Yehovah counted the Yovel and the Shemitah. So, to make it clear before we start, so it's not the way of man, it is the way Elohim did the planning for the Shemitah and the Yovel. So if you have more questions, you can contact me. Today we're going to focus on the parasha Berishit. We start the reading for the here. Berishit is very big in content. All what is inside is very big, so I cannot spend 4 years or 5 years or 6 hours, 6 hours to speak about that. So we're going to concentrate on some few points to help to understand the greatness of the word and to put straight some views which are not correct, okay, in particular from Berishit chapter 1 verse 1 and Yohanan 1:1, which led many to a false belief. So Berishit is the time of the creation, and also in the book, in the old book of Berishit, this means from the first chapter to the last chapter, there is something we can learn also for the future, because in the book of Yeshayahu, Yehovah says, I am Yehovah, beside me there is no other, Elohim. I speak the end from the beginning, from Bereshit. So if you want to know the end of the story, you have to dig into the book of Bereshit and learn. So we have in Judaism the 4 ways of interpretation, which is called the Pardes. Pardes is a name which has been created out of 4 words. First is a Peshat, which is a literal with a P from Pardes, Peshat, which is a literal meaning, what we read in the Torah. Then we have the Remes. The Remes gives us a hint of something to come. Then we have the Drash, what we can learn from that, and then the Sod, and this is the deepest meaning, which is revealed by Elohim alone, by Yehovah. And we have to understand, it is written in Psalm 25 verse 14, you can read that he revealed the secret, the soul of this Torah. He reveals. So we have to dig into the Torah in order to understand. And this way of interpretation is used in the Brit Hadashah. It's used by Shaul, it's used by Yeshua, it's used by Yohanan. We find it in many ways and many verses. So it's not something which is new, but exists already in the 1st century. So this said, I go back to the book of Bereshit, and we're going to see the beauty of the word. So first of all, we have to know the verse, the first verse, and to make it easy for you, I will open my Jewish translation from the word and read it also in English. In English it's very simple. In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. and the word is in Hebrew, Berishit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Now, in the beginning, from the beginning, what is exactly the beginning of what? We have to ask the question, the beginning of what? Is it the beginning of the existence? It is the beginning of what? The beginning of the creation? We have to understand that. Now, the one who created, we say Elohim. In the beginning, Elohim created. Bara, created. Bara. The one who created cannot be, he can't be into the creation itself. Because in the beginning, before anything existed, Elohim exists, he was there. He has no beginning, no ends. And he's pure light. This means that in the beginning, Elohim had to make a place in himself to create it. And this place is, because it's pure light, he has to create a darkness. And it's very interesting to understand the following verses. He has to create the darkness, which is called in Hebrew, understanding tzimtzum. Now, he will create a darkness in himself, which brings Shaul, Paul, one day in the book of Acts to speak, to say, in him we live. So, and for us to understand that the Creator is outside creation, as we can read, and that I will read for you in the book of Timothy. I will go there. Let me just so that we can go to Timothy chapter 6, and it is written. Let me see. Just wait, I don't want to make a mistake. Okay, this will go down. Am I in Timothy? Just wait. Okay. Now we go back to this. Just wait. I'm sorry. I want to show you something which is very interesting and which made a big difference. Yeah. So in chapter 6, in the 1 Timothy chapter 6, we read, Shaul is speaking to Timothy and he says, that you guard the command spotlessly, blamelessly, until the appearing of our Master Yahushua Mashiach, which in his own season he shall reveal. He shall reveal Yeshua, the blessed and only ruler, the sovereign of sovereigns and master of masters, who alone has immortality, alone, dwelling in an unapproachable light, whom no one has seen or is able to see, to whom be respect and everlasting might. Amen. He says that no one. This includes Yeshua. No one. And I will explain. No one. And that he dwells in an unapproachable light, whom no one has seen or is able to see. You see, the writer Shaul is making clear that no one is able to see Elohim and live. Remember, Moshe asked Elohim to show him his presence, but he said, no one can see me and live. Now, we go back. So Elohim was a pure light, and he created in himself the heavens and the earth. And then we start the beginning of the creation in the chapter 1. But the chapter 1 itself is not in the literal. We don't have to take the literal because there is a reason. I will show you that. Now, why it's not to be taken literal? Because the creation itself started in the chapter 2. Don't forget, when we look in the original, there is no chapter and verses. Okay, so this is why chapter 2 is a wrong meaning, but it's not yet, and we will see that. So we see that the day are created, and the first which was created was the separation of the light and the darkness. So remember, Elohim has to create a darkness in himself in order to create the time and space. And this is why they say in the verse 5, Elohim called the light day and darkness he called the night. And they came to be evening and they came to be morning. Yom Echad, one day. Not the first day. Not the first day. If it was first day, he should have said the first day. Like he said for the second. In the verse 8 we read, and Elohim called the expanses heavens, and they came to be evening and they came to be morning again. The second day. You see, here he should have said for the first day. If it is the first day, he should have said Yom Rishon. But in the Hebrew it is written Yom Echad. Echad is one. You can make a research for the word Echad in the Torah, and you will see that every time, or most of the time when it is written one goat is Echad, one man is Echad, and one is always Echad. But when it's the first, it is Rishon. So we have to be careful of that. So he brought the day and the night to be Echad. So the day is a creation, the darkness is a creation of Elohim, and has its own purpose and its own ways. So it can be good or it can be bad, depending how we approach it. Now, we see that every time he said, except the first day, and we're going to see now the last day, the 7 days, for every created days, Jehovah said, and Elohim created the expanse and event. They came to be evening and they came to be morning. The second day, evening and morning, the second day. Evening and morning, Yom Echad for the first day, Yom Echad. The day one day, one single, compound of darkness and light. Now for all the other day, up to the 6th day, it is always written, and they came to be evening and they came to be morning. The 3rd day, verse 13 from the chapter 1, and you can go on and you can see always, and they came to be the morning, the evening, and they came to be the morning. Verse 19, the 4th days, and we go on. Verse 23, and they came to be evening and they came to be morning, the 5th day, and we keep going, and we see that he created here, Elohim created the man in his image, in the image of Elohim created him, and male and female he created them, and he goes on and say, Elohim say, see, I have given you every plant that you'd seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree with fruit yields seed. To you it is for food. And he said, and Elohim saw all that he had made, and see, it was very good, and they came to be evening, and they came to be morning. The 6th day, we see always the same pattern. He came to be evening, and they came to be morning, and the next day. Now, we go to the chapter 2, which was, this chapter was created by a bishop in England to avoid the 7th day, to show that it is really the Shabbat. Thus the heaven and the earth were completed, and all their array, in chapter 2:1. And in the 7th day, Elohim completed his work which he has done. He rested on the 7th day from all his work which he has made. Elohim blessed the 7th day and set it apart, because he rested from all his work which Elohim is creating, in creating had made. Wow. Now the seventh day, we don't see it was evening and it was morning. We don't see it. It's not written. Now I'll give you an explanation which I found from Mincha Belula. Anyway, why does it say in regard to the Shabbat, and there was evening and there was morning, like it does for the other days? The other question, the answer is because the Shabbat alludes to the world to come, the day that is completely Shabbat and there is no night. You see, this is really referring to a time where there will be a change, a real change, and we're going to speak about that. The Shabbat day here is a time very special, which has not, like for the other day, an ending with night. The Shabbat day is a day of light. And we're going to see something very interesting concerning Adam and Chava. Remember, we read that Adam and Chava were created in the 6 days. This is why the number 6 in the scripture is the number of man. Everything you read in the Torah with the number 6 is related to man or Adam. And for that, we know that Yeshua himself, he called himself son Bene Adam, son of Adam. Now, here we see in chapter 2, very interesting, in verse 4, these are the birth of the heaven and the earth when they were created, in the day that Jehovah Elohim made earth and heavens. Now no shrub of the field was yet on the earth, no plant of the field had yet sprung up, for Jehovah Elohim had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. Oh, he said there was no man. But we read in chapter 1 that Elohim said, let us create a man in our own image. But here he said there was no man. Now, but a mist went up from the earth and watered the entire surface of the ground, and Jehovah, chapter 2 verse 7, Jehovah Elohim formed the man out of the dust from the ground, breathed into his nostril breath of life, and the man became a living being. It is only in chapter 2 verse 7 that we see that that the man Adam was formed, and that Elohim, Jehovah Elohim, breathed into his nostril the breath of life, the neshama. In Hebrew understanding, our soul is compound of 5 parts, which is the nefesh. We have the ruach, then we have the neshama, then we have the chaya, and the yerida. The yerida is a higher form of the soul that no man has even reached in his life, not even Moshe, not even Abraham, but only Yeshua, and I will explain. Now, this is very interesting. He breathed into Adam the neshama, the breath of life, and the neshama is the divine part of Jehovah in every human being on earth. I repeat, the neshama is a divine, I don't like the word, but it's just to describe the divine part of the spark of Elohim in every human being on earth. Because we know that animals have also ruach, a spirit. They have a ruach. You can read that in Kohelet, that when an animal dies, his ruach go to the earth. Okay, so we have a difference between animals and human beings, because human beings are the only species who have a neshama, which make us to be in the image of Elohim. And this neshama is connected to the Creator through Yeshua. Yeshua has the highest soul from every human being. He has the Yechida, which is connected to his Creator. I want to explain. When Adam was in Gan Eden, before sin, with Chava. They were imparted with the Yechidah, which enabled them to connect to the Creator, to Yehovah in the Gan Eden. And this is very important to understand, because when Adam and Chava sinned, the Yechidah, the part which is really the closest to the Creator, to Elohim, to Yehovah, departed from Adam. Do not participate in the sin of Adam. Do not participate in the sin of Adam. But Adam himself was caught in his own sin. So this is when the moment when Adam, because of sin, was kicked out from Gan Eden. And I will explain also something here. From Gan Eden with Chava, but the Yechidah remained with Elohim. The Yechidah from Adam. How do we know that? We know that because the beloved Shaul, Paul, explained that in 1 Corinthians 15. He speaks of the last Adam. Is that a coincidence that he speaks about the last Adam and uses the name Adam? No, it's not a coincidence, because Shaul, in his immense wisdom, which he got from Elohim, when he studied, when he learned, when he, with patience, understood the greatness of the word, in my humble opinion, there is no single man today except Yeshua who had reached such a level of understanding in the Torah. So he understood that when Yeshua was formed in the womb of Miriam, the Ruach HaKodesh brought the Yechidah of Adam in the soul of Yeshua. This is very important to understand. This is why Yeshua was able to communicate with the Father as did Adam in Gan Eden, the same way, through the Yechidah. For us, we are limited to the Neshama. Why? Because of sin. Because of sin. The sin is like a wall that limited us from reaching to Yehovah, Elohim, because it's pure light, it's pure. He has there is no obstruction in our Creator. And Yeshua was also sinless. Thus, he was able to communicate with his Father and become the Redemptor of the whole world. He's the one, he's a mediator. He's the one who connects us to the Father. Through him, we come to the Father, not in our own. Not in our own, because of sin. So now, when I go back to the book of Berishit, and I will explain in another video, because it's very, very deep to understand the nature of our Adon, of our Master Yeshua, who is like you and me, is a Bene Adam, is a son of Adam. He called himself son of Adam. He has to be the son of Adam. But we have to see that in another video. In order to fulfill the call he had to restore all humanity, to restore the earth, to bring it back to the state it was before sin. This is what he has. And sin is in our flesh. It is in our DNA. We have to die in order to annihilate sin in our flesh. This is what he said to the man. He said that you will die, and thus you were, and thus you will be. Because this body, like Shaul say, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Elohim. Now I'll go back to Berishit chapter 2 and read. And Elohim, Yehovah Elohim. So here is also a point to explain Yehovah Elohim. We have seen the first chapter, we see only Elohim. Elohim, when we study the tree of life, we understand that Elohim represents the strictness of the Torah and it's called Gevura. And the other side is the Chesed, or the grace, that we will see in the second parasha, which is Parasha Noah. We explain that Yehovah Elohim. You have Yehovah, which is the side of Chesed, the side of favors, what we call grace, and the side of Gevura, which is the strictness and the judgment. For now, it suffices that I say that. I will explain that when we come to the Parashat Noah. Now, he said here, Yehovah Elohim, chapter 2, verse 8, planted a garden in Eden to the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. You see, creator, now he had formed him, Yatsar. And out of the ground, Yehovah Elohim made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, with the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And the river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it divided and became 4 heads. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Avila, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium is there, and the Shoam stone. The name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Cush. Cush is the land we know today as Ethiopia. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. It is the one which goes toward the east of Ashur. Ashur, we know today, is a land which is from Iran. And the fourth river is the Euphrates, which is known to be the land of Iraq. So it's very interesting that people are seeking from Gan Eden and cannot find it. He gives us, yes, the name of rivers, which is literally to be found on the map. Why we don't find anything? But the answer is very simple to understand. Remember that when Yehovah took Adam and Chava after sin, he kicked them out from Eden. So is that physically or is that spiritually? It is like a layer. You have to understand that the world are created with many heavens. And Adam and Chava were kicked out, spiritually speaking, from one level to another level. This means all that we see in the Torah is no more, we are not more able to see it. So if you go to this place, you go to the Euphrates, you go to Ashur, you go to the land of Cush, you cannot see Gan Eden because it is hidden to our sight. We cannot see it.
The visible sight.
We are now in the level of Adam after sin. We cannot see the greenness, the beauty, the perfection of Gan Eden because he must be restored, and this will take place when Mashiach comes back. He will restore a part of it, And when at the end of the millennium, we will go through a process when everything will be restored as it was intended by Elohim, and then we will come to see Gan Eden as it was created by Yehovah Elohim. Until then, we will not see. So we have to understand that it's very important. I know there is a lot of things in it, but we have to speak about that just to give you a glimpse of the greatness of the creation. This creation is so beautiful that we need to take time to dig into it and to understand. Now, he said that we could keep going. He commanded them not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he said, for in the day that you eat of it, you will certainly die. And then he decided to give him a counterpart, which is taken out of Adam. We know is Chava. I will not go so long in it. And Adam and Chava become one echad. You can see they become echad, one. Is one really represented in the literal form in the marriage of man and wife. Man and wife goal is to be echad in life, and if they are echad, then it enables the flow of blessing of Yehovah to come into their life. And blessing is not money. Don't forget that it's not money. But it is much more than that. Because if we want to reach the shalom in the house, we need to be echad in our life with our wives. That is very important to understand. Now, he said in the verse 3, the Narash was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yehovah Elohim has made. And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohim has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? And he asked a question. Narash is very interesting. And the woman said to the Narash, we are to eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, do not eat, nor touch it, lest you die. And the Narash said to the woman, you shall certainly not die, for Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes shall be opened, you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. That is really interesting. First of all, Chava speaks to the Nachash. Nachash is in Hebrew word, which is very interesting because Nachash, if you know a bit about Gematria, which is the counting of the value of every Hebrew letter, and you take the word Nachash, and which is written Nun, Chet, and Shin, and you take the name Mashiach, which is also written Mem, Shin, Yod, and Chet, you will have the same Gematria with it 358. What do we learn? They are the two opposites. You see, remember, good and evil. Mashiach is the good side, and Nachash is the evil side. We see the word are connected by the value of the number, the Gematria from Nachash and Mashiach 358. Now, second point is here very interesting, that the woman, Chava, said to the Nachash, Elohim has said, do not eat or not touch it. We do not read that. We say that Yehovah told Adam not to eat. But she added something. We will see later on in the book of Devarim that Yehovah commanded through the mouth of Moshe not to add to his word. Not to add to his word, but she did. And she found a way to excuse herself. And she ate and gave to Adam, he ate, and both were entangled in sin. And this is where the time when they come and they sew fig leaves together and made lawn covering to themselves because they were naked. Naked is not physically. Naked is to say that now they lost their purity. The purity of the soul was broken by sin. This is what we have to understand. It's not because they were naked like a man and a woman and see, oh, now I realize I have a breast or I have a sex. No, it's not that. It is that they realize they broke their purity, spiritual purity. And they were ashamed. They were ashamed. This is what happened in our life also. And they saw Elohim. Listen here. They heard the voice of Yehovah Elohim walking about in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yehovah Elohim among the tree of the garden. And Yehovah Elohim called unto Adam and said to him, where are you? Do you think that Yehovah do not say where they are? Yeah, they do. The question is not where are you, but it is for them to know where are you now in this state? Where are you now in this condition? Because he knew they have broke the word of Yehovah and they were hiding. But what we see also is that Adam was able to communicate with Elohim. We see, he doesn't see Elohim because Elohim is formless. He has no form. He has no body. So they spoke with him. This is the level of Yeshua, who was able to speak with the Father because of the Yechidah. as I explained before. Now, he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. Remember, now is Adam speaking directly to Jehovah as we speak to one another. And so the woman began to try to a story, and the Adam is not able to repent, to say, okay, I repent, I was wrong, I did wrong. No, he blamed the woman. The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I ate. So you see, it's not my fault. It's a woman, she gave me and I ate. Now he goes to the woman, and Jehovah Elohim said to the woman, what is you that you have done? And the woman said, oh, the Nachash deceived me and I ate. Again, the woman excused herself and says, not me, it's a Nachash. You see? So the Nachash is also understood to represent the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination in every one of us. And if we observe our attitude, many times we see that we try to excuse ourselves, and this is from the evil inclination, not from the good inclination. So we have to learn about that. This is another topic, not for today. And the consequence is that they were thrown out of Gan Eden. This is here in 3:21. Jehovah Elohim made coats of skin for the man and his wife and dressed them. This is the coat of sin that we have today. And Jehovah Elohim says, see, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil, and now lest he put his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Jehovah Elohim sent him out of the Gan Eden to till the ground from which he was taken. And he drove the man out and placed cherubim at the east of the Gan Eden and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way of the tree of life. From this time on, Adam and Chava were in the world we are living now. So if there is no change, it is only a spiritual reality which disappears. A spiritual reality which disappears from our sight. We cannot see because of sin. We cannot see because of sin. That is something which we need to understand and to meditate on it. This is the consequence. We start now with Adam, and we go on until the redemption of the earth, when Mashiach comes back. We are in this state. We have a change. Yes, we have a change through Yeshua, when we accept Yeshua. And I will come to a point here now, because I want you to understand here, or us to understand. I will go to the book of Yohanan. I will make a just wait, huh? Yohanan, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word was with Elohim, the Word was Elohim, He was in the beginning with Elohim. And all came to be through Him, and without Him not anyone came to be that came to be. Verse 1 to 3. So, majority of people, especially those coming from Christianity, say, you see, the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. And verse 14, it is written, and the Word became flesh, and pitched his tent among us, and we saw his glory, esteem, as of an only brought forth of the Father, complete in favor and truth. Chesed and bitachon, truth. So, now, many have come to the conclusion, because of this verse, that Yeshua is Elohim. Now, I want to show you something. In the Haftarah from today, we read following. Now we go to the Haftarah, which is Yeshayahu, verse 42, chapter 42, verse 1. He said, see my servant whom I uphold, my chosen one, my being as delight in him. I have put my spirit upon him. He brings forth right ruling to the nation. He does not cry out, nor lift up his voice, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. Now, he's speaking about the Mashiach. He's speaking of the Mashiach. Verse chapter 43 say, but now thus say Jehovah, your creator, O Yaakov, and he who formed you, O Israel, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. You see, Jehovah, your creator, he speaks of Yaakov, and he who formed you, you see, your creator, bara, and form you, Yatsar. Exactly the same form we have in the first chapter of Berishit. He is the creator, and he will say again, we go back, just wait. He say in the 42:6, I, Jehovah, have called you in righteousness, and I strengthen you, your hand, and guard you, and give you for a covenant to a people, for a light to the nations, to the goyim. You see, Jehovah take the servant he has prepared to give him for a covenant to a people, that is Israel, a light to the nation, to the goyim. You see, verse 9, see the former prediction have come, and new ones I am declaring before they spring forth. You see, all what he has predicted before has come, and a new one is what is spoken by Yirmiyahu in chapter 31. It is about the renewed covenant, not a new covenant, renewed. Brit Chadasha, the word comes from the word Chadash, where we have Chodesh, which is the so-called new moon. Okay, the renewing of the cycle of the moon, which is called Chodesh, which comes from the renewing of the moon. The moon is not new. Every cycle, the moon is renewed, Chadash. So we have the Brit Chadasha, which is a renewed covenant based on the former covenant which was given on Mount Sinai. Nothing changed. It is only renewed, no more by the letter, but by the Ruach. This is how it works through Yeshua. No more by the letter. We don't accomplish the Torah in order to be saved, but we accomplish the Torah because it is our way of life, because we follow our master Yeshua, who was a Torah observant, who was a Torah keeper, and we do the same because it is the will of Jehovah for us not to be saved. Not to be saved. There is more to say, but this is for another day. So you see, we have to know that Jehovah is the creator of everything. And Yeshua is a man like you and me. He has a higher soul, but I don't like to use divine because this word is really spoiled by doctrines of men from the Catholic and from many others who explain it in a wrong way. Now, it is more to speak about that. I just want to give a glimpse of this word in the creation story, because we see in the book of Hebrew, we read, Yeshua is the image of Elohim, the exact radiance of his glory, the exact representation of his nature. He represents exactly, we know that Jehovah Elohim has no body. How it is, what he say, the image of Elohim. To understand the image of Elohim, we have to dig into the character traits from Elohim, from the character traits of Elohim. And this is what we can learn in the tree of life. When we study the tree of life, which is not an imagination of man, but it exists in the Torah, we see the attributes of Jehovah, which explain things to us, how we can elevate ourselves spiritually. And the process is very interesting, because the process of spiritual growth is only in the Torah. There is no other way. There is no other way to be sanctified, to be set apart, to be kadosh, set apart, but by studying the Torah. And this is why we should come all together always to learn the Torah, to exchange and to understand, so that we grow spiritually. This is very important. So this is a transformation. So I just look now if I can give you more for today, and I will stop here, because the Parashat Berishit is a challenge for every one of us. We need to read, and I want to give you an advice. If you want to learn more about the Torah, it is necessary that we hang around some rabbis. You may be surprised, but like you, I am not a master in Hebrew. I don't master the Hebrew language. And so I go to some rabbis, I pray for guidance to our Father to give us people who are able to help us in understanding. And me and my wife, we did that since many years. So we have gained a lot of understanding by going to look and to hear what rabbi has to say, and to read also, to read from the rabbis what they have to say about the word of the Torah. And we have the privilege to have the mind of Mashiach. So the more we study, the more light will come into our life. I don't say to go and to do what the rabbis do. We don't have to do that. Many things we don't have to do. But we need to remain humble, because they have the Torah. They have the language. They speak the Hebrew. They know the grammatical difficulties in the Torah, how to understand. So I encourage you to change, maybe for those who think that the Jews are wrong because they don't have Yeshua. That is a big mistake. That's a big mistake, because I will show you one day, I will make a video to show you that Jesus and Yeshua are the same person. You may be shocked, but I say it again, Jesus and Yeshua are the same person. And Jesus will come back to his land, to Eretz Israel, or to the land of Canaan. He will come back, and he will be recognized. He will be recognized to be Yeshua. So, if you want to learn that more, I will speak, I will make a video about that, and I will prove it. I will prove my statement by the Torah. So think about that before you accuse people to say, oh, Jesus is Zeus, and Jesus is a Satan, and Jesus is 666, and all the things which is totally nonsense and garbage. I repeat it again. Jesus and Yeshua are the same person. It is written in the Torah. If you have eyes to see, it is written in the Torah. The 5 book Moshes, not in the Torah, it is written. So, for those who have eyes to see, then it is written. Stop to say Jesus is a Satan, is a 666, is a monster, is a whatever. No, it's not so. And there is a deep, deep meaning in it. And this is why we need to understand that. I will make a video for that, to explain this statement and help many to understand that we need to stop to mock what is going on with Jesus. So I hope this will help some to understand what they didn't know, and that it was a blessing to you. So we'll see you again in the next parasha, the parasha Noah, and talk again about this beautiful word of the Torah throughout the years now that is before us. So be blessed. I wish you a Shavua Tov, a good week, and shalom in your house, and many blessings. See you later. Shalom.